My fine chickadees.
Hello, hello.
Hello.
The other two are here. They're just grabbing their coffee and cereal equivalents. It's unorganized. All you morningers. Hello, everybody. How's it going,
How
gamers?
you doing? And welcome to part 1 of asking us anything, which is I guess our new sub. Wow, we've made so many episodes of Good Morning Source Gaming. We can finally have sub episodes, sub series within our series.
Mm-hmm.
That's something Sourcecast can never do, huh? I mean, taking audience questions was something that I mean we kind of did very early on. Like we used to, like when we went to tweet out, like, hey, there's a episode coming up, like, got any questions? And then we just sort of stopped, just simply because, you know, people like to ask questions in the chat, and it's like basically the same thing.
Yeah.
But I thought it would be cute to have like a little Google Forms thing that people can fill out, which, by the way, we are still taking questions. If you scroll down to the description, there is a link to the Google form where you can put in your name. You can ask either the staff as a whole or a specific staff member, and then you can ask your question. And you know, we didn't get, like, I don't want to like downplay it, because I don't want to be like the guy that's like, you guys didn't ask anything, because we actually did get quite a few answers. We didn't get like hundreds, which is like fine, you know, like. Granted, though, we're probably going to be like rapid firing a lot of these, because, you know, but
we'll see what the sort of questions are. We just got a new one coming now, so from the wonderful Golden Star. So that's now plopped on the bottom of the list. So we'll get to that.
So we'll be getting to that in just a hot minute. But first off, gang, what have we been playing this week? We'll start with Nan Tenjex.
Yeah. So obviously the big thing this week has been Xbox Series X and PS5 coming out, although PS5's not actually out here in Europe yet. And actually, before I go on this, I just noticed, Colin, I think the comment thing on the video is slightly small for some reason.
Don't know why. The chat box?
Yeah, the chat box. Yeah. So you mess around with that while I'm chatting, just because I'm having to squint. It's comments from Ant, so down here.
Yeah,
But
maybe work on that bug.
yeah, those obviously came out this week, but I have a feeling that none of us have actually got them yet. So we're not going to be talking about any Xbox Series X or PS5 games. Instead, what I've been playing is actually a really old game. Well, really old game, Pikmin 3 Deluxe, which I didn't intend to get, but I ended up getting a hold of it, and I thought to myself, well, I'll give it a shot, I guess. Like, I played Pikmin 3 ages ago, and I wasn't massive on playing it again, but it's actually really, really good still. And I ended up sitting there and just constantly playing it to the point where I pretty much beat the main story in one day. And then the next day, I just went back and did all the Olimar extra stuff. So I'm going to be doing a review on that. It'll be an article on the Source Gaming website this week that will go into my details, more details about what I think of the port, because it's got some really good things in it, and it's got some really bad things in it.
The duality of Pikmin.
Yeah, it's got elements of it that are a bit disappointing. That this was their chance to add in stuff like online, for example. There's no online, which is really strange because Bingo Battle is perfect for it, and it just sort of limits that mode. But I've also I really liked Pikmin 3 on the Wii U. For the control scheme and stuff, having the second screen was really useful, and I don't think it's transitioned as well over to the Switch, that aspect of it. But I'll talk about that in sort of more details when I give my review, so it's not all spoilt here. But that's the main thing I've been playing. I intended to play more No More Heroes and then just didn't. And then I ended up... I can't remember if I was on here last time, when I was on here last time, but I was playing Lisa before this. And I played through all of Lisa the Painful and Lisa the Joyful as well. But I finished that last week, I think. Those are good games. Those are really good games. They make me want to try out RPG Maker and just mess around on that, which I've done a little bit this week. But it's one of those things where I've just been messing around in RPG Maker, sort of learning it and being like, man, this would be really good if I could make a game like Mario and Luigi. Oh no, RPG Maker's too limited and I can't do that. Oh well, I might have to look somewhere else. And then just completely losing track of the reason I was using RPG Maker in the first place.
This is going into like really dark subject matter territory, but do any of you remember there was a game and then they made a documentary about the game, and it's an RPG Maker game, and it's called like Super Columbine Massacre RPG with like 5 exclamation points.
No,
that one sounds a little bit familiar.
It's like this very weird, dark, satirical take on I mean that's
I've Googled it.
that's how they portrayed it. They portrayed it as being like this like very dark, like satirical kind of look at just like 90s just counterculture and stuff, and kind of what led to the horrible events at Columbine High School. But yeah, there's a documentary about it which I watched when I was like, I don't know, 12. I'm sure if I watched it now I'd be like, wow, this is cringe. Because it's a bunch of people that made like some edgy bullshit and then are just like acting like really like self-righteous about it, like you. Because I remember there's like a whole part where they're like, why are people dissing on our game yet Postal gets a free pass? And I think when I was like 12 I was like, yeah, Postal sucks, but I think now I'm like, well,
one's depicting real life tragedy.
Yeah, exactly. The others way more goofy. The other's way more tongue in cheek. One's way more South Parkish.
Why do people sometimes get on the case of Call of Duty? Hey, there's a dog. Yeah, glorifying violence and all of this crap. Wolfenstein doesn't get that. They're both about World War II. No, they're not really. I mean,
yeah. But yeah, I guess I also because of Lisa gave Yumi Nikki a try finally.
Ooh.
I have no idea what I'm doing in that game. I've walked around like half the dreamscape and found like 4 different effect things. And it was quite tense at points, but when I began to realize that nothing was going to hurt me, it became slightly less tense. And just me wandering around for ages trying to figure out what on earth I'm meant to be doing in this game. And then I
bad
stopped
news,
playing.
gamers. These breakfast potatoes I made are slightly undercooked.
Oh.
I mean, we all make lots of sacrifices in order to be on this show, and I don't think you guys appreciate it.
I mean, we did ask like a day and a half in advance.
Yeah,
I have no
potatoes.
idea when this starts. I'm sure the people that follow don't. 10, 10:30, 11, whenever.
I think that's a you problem, mate.
Yeah, it sounds like a you problem. Mediate. Speaking of...
And good news, though, this coffee is perfect.
Good. Speaking of fine people, Phantom, what have you been playing this past
you think I'm fine? That
Yeah,
sounds
I think you're fine.
So I haven't really been spending too much time playing games because I've been dealing with a lot of school projects. I just finished an animation a small like animation I was working on for school, and then another art project right after that. I guess I've been slowly playing No More Heroes as well. I'm still like in the middle of the first boss because I went over to a friend's house and I was playing the game over at her house, and then I just stopped to play Ring Fit Adventure.
Ooh.
Because I haven't been. I've honestly been doing slacking when it comes to Ring Fit Adventure. And I got to get back on the grind for that.
Yeah, no, I have too.
Then what else have I been playing? I was playing Guilty Gear Xrd Rev 2 on yesterday. I was playing on my friends through Steam Remote Play because my computer can't run it that well. But on my PS3, I was recording footage for it for a video, and for some reason the footage just stopped capturing while I was recording all the moves. So I was like, okay, well, I guess I got to re-record all the moves again. So I'm gonna have to do that later. I think that's really been it. I've also been whenever I go to my friend's house on Fridays, we kind of just also play fighting games. So I was also playing Rev 2 with them. I watched them play some Tekken 7. We always play Smash, and Skullgirls and stuff like that. So I've kind of just been, I guess, really been on a fighting game binge. Oh, also them's Fighting Hurts I was playing yesterday as well. So, yeah,
is that one any good? Them's Fighting, but I thought Them's Fighting Herds because that was going to get its big break this year, and then Evo got cancelled.
Yeah, I think it's a simple game, and I like it, and it opens up for the gameplay of it is simple because it's mainly a 3-button fight with a 4-button button for your magic and stuff like that kind of. And I like that because that's also similar, almost in a way similar to the way that Under Night plays. But the thing about Under Night is the fact that that is a more fast-paced game with movement options that get you to point A to point B faster, with dashes and dash jumps. Whereas Them's Fighting Hers is a lot more grounded. So it's or maybe it just might be the character that I play, but I just can't help trying to air dash so many times. And I'm like, oh wait, I can't do that in this game. So it's fun, but the movement isn't as fast as the other fighters I'm so used to. So I have to get used to that.
Yeah, that's the thing with different fighting games. They all have a sort of universal playstyle, but all slight differences that you sort of want to learn. Makes it slightly hard to master lots of them. You pick your main, you pick your sub fighting game, and just accept that you're probably not going to do well in any others.
Yeah, I don't know I think the only one I actually am good at is Under Night because I play with one character that's really easy to learn. and that's I guess I know how to play a fighting game well, I guess.
I can do fighting games now, sure.
Yeah. But I mean,
at least you're good at a fighting game. That's more than I can say.
Fantastic. Now, Spazzy.
Yeah.
What are you
want me to talk more about my breakfast, or is that one of our questions coming up?
Nah.
What game console have you been playing your breakfast on?
I've been playing my Switch. By the way, people are insane. There's all these would you punch your younger brother for a PS5? How many puppies would you kill for a I'm like, it's
I've been seeing you tweet about that.
What Twitter accounts are you guys following?
very angry Sony fans apparently. Here's my deal. I think the PS5 and Xbox Series X both look neat. I actually, with what I've been playing Bloodstained recently on my base PS4, and the load times every time you die are like an hour. There might be a little bit of hyperbole there, but it's so long, and it makes me think. I wonder if this would run better on a PS5. But that's the thing, is that if somebody can people seem so desperate for these consoles. I'm like, can you show me an exclusive that you can buy for that console right now that is not either hot garbage, also available on PS4 or PC, or a tech demo? Then I'd get excited for it.
Godfall.
It's really Godfall's
Godfall
also on PC.
PC, yeah.
Oh, well, never mind.
I just built a new
also
PC.
not good.
Yeah, I just built a new PC. I have a PS4. I'd love for things to load faster, I guess.
Well,
And
Spazzy, you can do that right now with just like putting a solid state drive.
They
into
drive
your
in my PS4. Yeah, I know that too. I don't know. I feel like people are. This is the first console generation that's really passed where I'm a little bit on last gen too. And who am I to talk? I bought a Wii U at launch, but but that was for Zombieland. Wii U actually had for Zombieland, and Wii U actually I think probably had a better launch. I feel like people are really hyping up the PS5, and I don't get it. I guess if you get it, that is super cool. But yeah, I've been playing Bloodstained on my PS4. I'm about 80% of the map uncovered. I don't know. I haven't actually looked into that to see, for instance, Castlevania Symphony of the Night has the inverted castle, so I don't know if there's another section after the main map, but from the primary map, I'm about 80% done. That game scratches Castlevania, Metroidvania itch that I didn't know existed, and I didn't think it would. I'm one of those people that felt like the Igavanias were getting really derivative on the DS. I was happy for Castlevania to go in another direction. Because they kept reusing the same sprites. They were getting bored and tired. They were getting uninspired. They I don't know. Order of Ecclesia was different and neat. Did we really need 2 of those Sorrow games? No, they were basically the same thing. And everything kind of felt like it was trying to recapture Symphony of the Night, the magic from that in a way. But Bloodstained has so many callbacks to that and feels like a Castlevania game, but it just, I don't know, I guess maybe because it's in full HD and obviously they couldn't reuse sprites, so they had to redo all the enemy designs, even though the 99% of them are clearly oh, that's a Medusa head, oh, that's an axe armor, oh, that's this, that's that. It's it is very much a reskinned Castlevania game. And barely reskinned at that. But they did a great job. The music, and it feels right, and I've really, really been enjoying it more than I thought I would, because we're in a world filled with your Axiom Verges and your Hollow Knights and your Oris and just so many different games in that genre that I've loved. But this is something different, and it also makes me feel like if I got a really, really good Metroid, I'd have that same feeling. I liked Samus Returns, but it didn't really make me feel like this is a brand new 2D Metroid. This is the next great 2D Metroid. You know what I mean? It felt very constrained by the fact that it was a Metroid 2 remake. I liked a lot of the new stuff in there, but that counter made combat weird. Besides that, I've been playing. I bought Hades and still haven't played it after 2 weeks. It's just sitting there, which is nice. But I was going through, looking at just games I hadn't completed on my Wii, and I started playing Yoku's Island Express some more. I don't know if you guys played that.
That's the pinball one, right?
Yeah, it is so weird. It is a fun game because once again, it's a Metroidvania style game where you got this huge map to explore and you need to get um, new abilities to expand it, but you don't jump in the game. There's the left and right triggers. Is it the triggers or the bumpers? It doesn't matter. Activate yellow and blue paddles around the world, and it's like literally a pinball game. You're an ant that's pushing a giant, giant in relation to the ant, obviously, ball around. I don't know. You might be a beetle. I don't remember. Like I said, I picked it up from playing a long time. But anyways, yeah. So it's like a pinball game, but it's like pinball elements and movement inside of a Metroidvania, and it's really interesting. The other thing is I'm still slowly working my way through Luigi's Mansion 3 with my fiance. My problem with that game is, first of all, I don't understand how people played it one player because it seems like it would be a much worse experience to not always have Luigi out doing stuff. I feel like you'd have to switch a lot. It would make boss fights harder, like just everything.
You have to switch a lot, yes.
Yeah, but no,
boss fights aren't too bad because they won't go for the version that isn't in control.
Well, like for instance, yesterday we did the T-Rex boss fight, and I feel like it would have taken a lot longer to figure out to feed Luigi into the T-Rex if I wasn't playing as Luigi and just walked into the T-Rex. Like, you know what I mean? Like, it was like, yeah, of course.
Yeah.
So we yesterday I finished the dinosaur section and the next like basement 2 section. We went back to find some keys. I have a problem though. I feel like we always play that game late, and I really enjoy that game. I think it's a great game. I think it's an excellent co-op game with a friend or significant other. However, like I said, we end up playing it late, and I always it puts me to sleep after a while. I don't know what it is. I think it's because it's not a very frantic game. But after like 1 or 2 floors, I'm all like, I'm done. I'm tapping out. You can keep playing. You can if you want, but I can't. So it's been taking a while to get through that. So yeah, there's that. And that's about it. Nothing too expansive. And I think that's the other reason why, and I'm sure we'll talk about it eventually, I'm not too crazy about getting an Xbox Series X or a PS5 right now. I have so many games to play. Also, I just spent $1,000 on computer parts, so that too.
Yeah, you can get pretty much everything, at least for the Xbox, that you'd want. You can get Game Pass on the PC, and then you've just got access to everything there, so yeah.
So just wait 2 years until I get my next graphics card, which will be better at that point than what's on PS5 and Xbox Series X.
Yeah. So I guess that just leaves you, Colin.
Yeah. I had a fun thing the last few weeks. There's a game that came out called Ghostrunner, which is like a cute little first-person platformer that's also cyberpunk and all that, cool buzzwords. And I requested to review it, and what was it? I submitted a request I think 2 months ago, and they were like, okay, yeah, sure. And then I think just halfway through last month, they were like, well, console keys are going to be going out at the end of the month, next to the day before the release date, for whatever reason. So they were like, oh, well, here's the PC version to play in the meantime. And I was like, okay, all right. Mm-hmm. And then on release, then I just didn't hear anything because, this is a Nintendo channel, so I was waiting for the Switch key, and I didn't get anything on the 26th, which was the day they were supposed to be giving out console keys, and then on the 27th, day of release, they quietly delayed the game to November, which is a very cool thing that companies should totally do, is not tell people that they're not releasing a product on the day of release. So they moved it to the 10th, and then they continued to not have Switch keys until, I'm trying to remember, I think they actually ended up giving me a key to review a day or two after release, which at that point, what's the point? I'm especially because I'm also working on another review of Sniper Elite 4, which I've been playing, but embargo, so I can't really talk much about that. Even though it's like a game that's already out, so I guess like I could technically talk about it, but just not like the Switch port part of it. Yeah, is a good game. I like. But Ghostrunner, that's a game that is out, and the Switch version is now out, and they gave me a key for it, so I guess I can talk about it willy nilly. And it's okay. It's a very, very, very okay game, and it's very weird because the game's been reviewed really, really well. So it's one of those instances where it's like, am I the asshole? Am I the one who's just not getting it? Because it's basically like if you've played a first-person platformer before, like a Mirror's Edge or something.
Yeah.
Like there you go, it's that, except it has wall running. You can tell that they were like very heavily inspired by the controls of like Titanfall 2, which is a good thing to be inspired by because Titanfall 2 controls really well. But they were also inspired by there's no shooty. It's all melee combat.
Okay.
So basically, what you have is a like Titanfall platforming mixed with like the basically a first person version of like Hotline Miami or Katana Zero, because it's like it's one hit, one kill, and it's kind of bullshit in that regard because the platforming. The platforming is incredibly easy. It's actually stupid easy because you jump, you essentially stick to a wall, and then the character just kind of runs for you. Like in that situation, all you really have to do is hit the jump button at the right time, and you're fine.
That's, difficult.
But then they put you in these combat arenas, and the whole point is they're like, keep your momentum, keep that speed. You know, they really want you to go fast. But all of the combat areas are like these very Half-Life 2-esque, just flat, open environments. So it's really hard in that game to really keep your momentum going. That plus the fact that they'll just have like 6 dudes kind of standing in a circle around you who all can one-shot kill you, and they all basically have aimbot. So it's just kind of like, oh, well... This is kind of, you know, it's not even like it doesn't even feel like the game is hard. It just kind of feels like sometimes you're in a scenario where you're like, well, they want me to figure this one out. And I have it's one of those games where like when you die, like it starts you like 5 seconds back, basically at like a checkpoint.
Oh right. Okay.
It's like a try again type of thing. But I've died so many times, like when I'm in the middle of like a mantling animation or something, and I'm just like, wow, that was not fun. I had no control there. There was nothing I could do. I was just playing the game.
Yeah, because it's one thing to punish you for fucking up. It's one thing to punish you when the game doesn't give you any chance of not fucking up.
Yeah.
Basically.
Granted, the game also gives you like a lot of like power-ups, so it gets like progressively easier as it goes on, but I've also heard from people that the level design gets a hell of a lot worse. So I don't know. I guess we'll see. I still like it. It's just like I have a lot of nagging issues. And as far as it being a Switch port goes, it looks like a Vita game.
Oh god.
That is no exaggeration. Like it looks like Killzone Mercenary on the Vita. Not that I give a shit, because like. Whatever. There's
stylized.
I think if you own a Switch, you passed a test a long time ago about whether or not how you feel about like graphical downgrades in video games. So it's either like, you know, you can dig it or you're just like, ew, whatever. Yeah. It runs at 30 FPS. They plan on doing an update to make it 60 FPS, which is badass. That's really about it. It's fine.
I'm one of those people.
Fine.
I'm one of those people when it comes to FPS. I don't really. I mean, if you show me side by side, like 60 FPS versus 30 FPS, I notice it. And I guess I can feel it if I go from one to another. But when I'm just playing a game, I really don't notice it. I don't know.
I'm the same. Like, unless it's like really inconsistent and choppy.
Yeah, if it goes up and down a lot, then I'll notice it. Yeah.
But otherwise, yeah, I can tell you the difference between 60 and 30 FPS. Fine, the human mind can't see beyond 2 FPS, so it's all good.
Well, it's funny because for me at least,
60 FPS is so good, Then why aren't movies and anime in 60 FPS?
Why don't they make it 62 FPS?
Yeah.
It's actually really funny that you guys mentioned that because, as I said, they gave me the PC version, and I'm a little bit of a PC gamer, and my monitor is a 240 hertz G-Sync monitor, so I'm going from like that to 30 FPS on the Switch. And what's funny is that I don't even think like the difference in frame rate isn't the issue, though that does make things nicer. But it's like a first person platformer with like melee combat. It doesn't really need like all those extra frames. What's really tripping me up more is the fucking controls, because the default controls have like jump mapped to right bumper and dashing mapped to left bumper and crouching to A, and it feels really bad on the Joy-Cons. It doesn't feel natural at all.
Crouching to A, that's strange.
Yeah, especially it especially sucks because that means you have to take your thumb off of the right stick to crouch, which this is a first-person platformer where you're looking is like most of like the importance because it's the literal direction you're heading.
Is there anything that happens then if you like press down instead? Because usually you can like tapping on the.
Well, this is what I don't get this. There's like 8 different controller profiles, and some of them do include like mapping crouch to pressing down on the right stick, which, thank God. But if you're going to include like 8 different controller profiles, why not just allow me to completely rebind the controls however I want at that point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because what is this bumper situation? Like it's silly.
That's a weird one for the default as well. Like, what's that about?
Yeah, I would really like I'd really like them to just have that. The things I would really like, I mean, if they do the 60 FPS patch, like perfect, like thumbs up, me likey. But I would like really like fully rebindable controls and an FOV slider, because holy shit, the FOV is so small on like the Switch screen, and that should not That shit needs like 90 FOV in handheld mode. Like I can't do this like I'm looking through a toilet paper tube shit. I can't do that.
Yeah, maybe they'll just continue to take feedback.
Nice. Hopefully. Maybe I'll do that thing that like you're not really supposed to do, but no one's really stopping you anyway, where you ask the PR person like, "Hey, can you ask the devs to just do this?"
Yeah.
And see
Here's my list of requested features.
It's really funny. I was talking. I mean, like I don't know if you're like there's no like NDA. You're not allowed to like not disclose this, but like it's funny whenever I cover a Rebellion game. They seem to be super open about talking about the porting process, and like, the devs are always like, "Oh, like, did you notice any lighting changes and stuff like that?" And you're like, "Wow, these guys are cool." I guess I'll talk about that next week after my review goes up. But buy Sniper Elite 4 when it comes out. That's all I can say for now. It's very good. But now, wow, we made it like 30.
Featured presentation.
Yeah, we capped it off at like 30 something minutes. It's like perfect.
Nice.
So we're still accepting questions. Link in the description below if you want to ask. What are we talking about? We're going to be talking about you. That's right, you specifically.
Gamers.
I guess to reiterate, we decided to do a thing where this episode is kind of like an Ask Us Anything, and So we have a Google Forms link in the description below where you can ask questions, and we're just going to be kind of piling through these for the next hour and a half, because news has been slow. None of us got any of the new consoles except for me, because I got the Stadia, and
sounds like an STD.
Yeah, right. I got the Stadia. It burns when I pee, but yeah, we're gonna be piling through all these questions and just going ham and all that cool stuff. But before we get to the questions in the Google Forms, we're going to start with a few questions we got from YouTube from people who can't read. No, you're all fine. Just whatever. The first question we got on YouTube: how is Stadia? By the way, it works, but that's like the least surprising thing about it. Like,
Yeah, I saw that. You got the Stadia controller in. Weren't they giving that away for like free if you signed up?
if you're one of those crazy people like me who pays for YouTube, Google's been doing this thing where they're just offloading all their crappy electronics no one's buying. They gave me like a Nest Mini earlier this year, and this year, and now they've given me the Google Stadia Premier Edition, and it's like I mean, it works. The controller's nice. The software itself is pretty nice. The streaming works well. Like, that's not surprising. It's a Google product. Like, they have the R&D and all that nonsense to make a good product. My problem is, the whole like, oh, I don't actually own any of this shit, which is why I'm okay with buying not buying, but taking the free electronics, because even if I don't use Stadia, hey, that's a Chromecast. Hey, that's a game controller.
Yeah. Maybe I should have done that. Maybe I should have just paid for like 1 month of YouTube to get the free Stadia.
I think it was like a thing where you had to be a pre-existing.
Yeah.
You couldn't just slap on.
Damn.
But yeah, it's funny how the best things about Stadia are the things that have nothing to really do with Stadia.
I need a new Chromecast. I can only cast to the PS4.
It's a very nice Chromecast too. It's like the 4K Ultra one, so you have to plug it into the wall, and it's like juicy. But yeah, nice. Spazzy, what was that?
YouTube Premium costs $12 a month. Are you paying $12 a month for YouTube?
I'm paying $10 a month for YouTube.
Okay, so you're doing the YouTube Music? I don't know. I don't
know.
No,
there's like it's very weird. They have like I remember there was an email that was like $12 a month, but I think that's for like the Google One plan that also includes like some Google Drive shit or whatever. Because I think regular, just like bog standard YouTube Premium is $10 a month. And if you're wondering how I
does that include the YouTube Music or
yeah it does,
Music?
but I don't use YouTube Music because it sucks. But if you're wondering how I live with myself,
so you're paying $10 a month just for YouTube with no ads.
Here's the thing. Most of my
I'm sorry.
No, this is my actual. First off, I've been using YouTube since like 2006. I fucking hate ads. Most of my YouTubing is done either on my phone or on my TV. And fifth, YouTube Premium, if you watch a video with YouTube Premium, the creator of the video actually gets more revenue than if you just watch with ads.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, really?
So if you really are like a big YouTube boy and you want to like properly like support the platform and the creators, as goofy and bullshit and shilly as that sounds, yeah, it's good.
Like, I get it. I've been, well, not recently because it's been, hurricane here and everything's flooded. But I've been cycling a lot, especially since lockdown started. And if I go out for like an hour to 2 hours, sometimes I throw something, like I put a YouTube playlist on, or I'm like, I don't know, I could definitely use a podcasting app, but instead I'm going to go on YouTube and watch something that I could probably also get on a, whatever for like, and I'm like, it's an hour and a half of some people talking. So that's fine. I'll listen to that while I ride my bike. And then all of a sudden it'll start some, 40-minute ad about Dungeons and Dragons or something because it's YouTube and it has 40-minute ads in between what you're doing. And I'm biking and trying to skip an ad is a pain in the ass. So I've definitely considered it.
Very early on in Google fashion, they were just like trying to get rid of it. They were just like, please just like take 3 free months of Google of like YouTube Premium. Like, please accept the service. And I was like, oh, this should be cute for like 3 months, and then I'll go back to using like ad blocker or something. But you don't realize how fucking annoying ads are until you like go to a friend's house or something and they put on a YouTube video with like ads playing before.
I mean, I get it.
You're like, oh, this sucks. Yeah.
My housemate gets like, he doesn't have ads on his either, but I do because I don't have YouTube Premium. So whenever we watch something on the PS4, it just plays ads and he can't stand it.
Yeah, I had Red twice because I got the trial twice because I wanted to watch Cobra Kai season 1 and season 2.
Yeah.
And it was nice not to have ads for a while, but it just, I don't know, man. I already pay right now, I'm paying right now for both DC Universe and HBO Max, which at least one of those. I mean, the DC Universe is going to stop very soon when the annual cycle's over, but still, that's dumb. I mean, I've got Netflix, I've got Hulu, I've got Amazon Prime, I've got Peacock. Although I'm not technically paid for that, it's bundled in with my internet or some garbage.
Well,
But
that's Peacock.
Peacock is CBS's or NBC. It's NBC's.
Like so many.
Yeah, everybody has their own streaming service now. I feel like I'm paying for so much, and I'm paying for Xbox Live, and just they want me to pay for Game Pass, and I'm paying for Nintendo Online and PlayStation Plus, and like people are they're stealing my money. they're stealing my money. Yeah, that's what it comes down to. I should start playing World of Warcraft again because people aren't stealing enough money from me monthly. I just need more money to be going.
More money to be leaving your
my pocket.
All right. So yeah, that's our first unofficial question: is how is Google Stadia? And it is fine. Anyway, let's start with some of these YouTube comments. These are from the community post that we made yesterday. A Talking Sock asks, how many questions per customer? And I feel like that is a quick way of not accepting any more questions from that person. That's like if you have, it's like one of those, if you have to ask, you don't get it.
Yeah, it's like the genie thing. You can't wish for more wishes. Once you do, it's invalid.
Yeah. So c'est la vie. Apologize.
He's got some questions in the Excel doc. I can see his name. He figured it out.
All right. Well, I'll max out at 5. I'm not, more realistically 3. But if they're really good,
this one's less of a question and more of a request. Please make fun of more English cooking, like jacket potatoes with beans.
How dare you? Oh.
Those limeys over there, they're eating everything with that fake malt vinegar, and it's pretty naff in it. That's what you guys say, naff in it.
Naff in it.
Naff in it.
In it, bro. Just don't even. We'll go down and have
so Vegemite is for the Australians, and you guys eat Marmite? Is that true?
We have Marmite. You either love it or hate it. I love it, but I can't actually have it because I'm allergic to it, and it's very sad.
Oh,
wow. What is a mite? What makes something a mite?
Marmite is just like this pitch black spread that you can put on bread and stuff that's just made out of yeast. So it's like putting yeast on top of more yeast, basically.
Why would you?
And it's got a very strong taste. So people either really enjoy it or they just cannot stand it.
It's like a savory taste.
It's got a savory taste, which is where it gets the slogan from: you either love it or hate it. Marmite, and then Vegemite. I don't know. I don't understand Vegemite personally. It's not something I have, but it is more of an Australian thing than a British thing. But if we're going to be talking about British food, I want to this is going to be a slight segue here. Have any of you guys watched the Sausage Channel?
Yes, Ordinary Sausage.
Ordinary Sausage.
Hell yeah.
Ordinary Sausage. So he is this American guy who just makes different types of sausages.
And he talks like Peter Griffin, yeah.
Yeah, he talks like Peter Griffin. And he's become sort of infamous for YouTube comments asking him to do really stupid shit. And him getting really furious because those videos do better than the ones he actually pays.
It's just blood pudding in it.
Yeah, so for Halloween, he did a blood sausage, which was a sausage filled with like pig's blood and all that, and cooked it up. Yeah. And the comment was just full of people from Britain being like, "That's just blood pudding, right?" Because for those who don't know what blood pudding is, it's literally like fried blood, sort of molded over into a shape. I hate it. I think it's disgusting. But he basically made black pudding, and the whole comments were just black pudding. And then his next video, you could tell he was so salty at this that he didn't even do his usual sort of skits and stuff. He just spent the whole time just complaining
making fun of the comments.
It's just black pudding, mate. It's slapping his weird candy.
What's weird about that is that blood sausage isn't even a I know you say blood pudding, but like blood sausage is very common in a lot of countries. It's very common in Spain and France and Germany, and therefore in countries that originate from there. Like in all of South America, people freaking love. I think blood sausage is disgusting, but like in all the South American countries, and I live in Miami, which is basically Latin America. Like people love blood sausage. It's not like
there was
it's weird. Like it's weird that the people's first thing is that's just blood pudding. I'm like, blood sausage in itself seems like a pretty common thing.
I think I think the channel's just become very popular over here.
It shot up in popularity over like the last like year. Like it just skyrocketed. I think it's because of Critical Penguin ZO.
Oh, okay. I found him just through a friend through the water sausage incident.
Yeah.
The best one. Spent like
$37 on lobster tail. You should make the water sausage.
Yeah.
This is what you people wanted. The water sausage.
Boiling water wrapped up 0 out of 10.
It just tastes like a hot intestine. So, water sausage. 0 out of 5. I did like
I didn't know who this guy was, but I have seen that YouTube video, so I guess I know who he is.
I did like a whole video where like I impersonate him because I love that voice.
A very good impression.
Yeah. Well,
really
hey there, folks. Welcome back. I guess. Today we got the bangers and mash sausage. It's very fun to do. It's just Peter Griffin with like a Florida twang. That's all it is. Anyway, moving on. There you go. We made fun of English cooking. The real actual Marty
My favorite
Spazzy.
English cooking shitpost there.
Spazzy, you went to the future for a second there.
Oh no! From my point of view, you guys are slowed down.
Beggars can't be choosers. So
I moved. Well, number one, I moved my computer to a different room in the house that is very far away from the router, and maybe I should get a repeater and put it somewhere. That's something I got to look into because I kind of built an office for myself.
Oh my God,
Second of all, I was just saying my favorite British cooking shitpost is the Reese's peanut butter cup, but just with beans coming out of it.
Guys, I just want to mention that we literally we summoned him. He just uploaded a video right now.
Oh no! Which one's this?
Butter sausage.
Butter sausage.
That's something we're gonna have to put on after the stream. Holy shit! I can't believe we did it. We did it.
He
Reddit.
heard us. He came.
Anyway, the actual Marty McFly asks, there has been some evidence brought up suggesting... I was going to do the voice, but nah. Brought up suggesting Rayman is one of the remaining 4 DLC. This is for Smash. Do you think this evidence has any weight to it, or it's just a coincidence? I haven't looked at all of it, because I don't have that sort of free time. But basically, Ubisoft renewed the Rayman trademark, which means nothing. Don't ever look at renewing trademarks as anything. Like that's just company stuff. And then they did like a ask the they sent out like a survey recently, and they were basically asking people like, did you buy any of the Smash DLC? Because they were asking about because there's a bunch of like Ubisoft costumes. People think this is pointing towards Rayman and Smash. I mean, at this point, it's a situation where at least I would say, it's possible it might happen, but I don't think those examples are indicative of such. Especially not the trademark renewal.
It would be a little odd, not odd, but I'll say awkward right now, because Sakurai likes to have the blessing of the original creator, and that man's a little problematic at the moment.
Yeah.
I don't know if Nintendo would care about that. I'm just saying, in general, it would be...
I imagine they would have probably decided this before all of that came out, so it might be it might have been fine. But I mean, I don't think it means anything.
Oh my god!
I feel like we've seen this before. We've seen survey questions that ask stuff that people then blow out of the water that we never see. It's like not just Smash Brothers related, but it's like when Atlas sent out that survey and asked people about potentially having Persona stuff on Switch, and people just assumed that meant that we were going to start seeing all the Persona backlog show up on Switch, and that obviously hasn't happened, and they've been quite open about the fact that it's mainly going to be Sony still. So Sony and PC. So like I just wouldn't take survey questions like that seriously, especially when Ubisoft already has stuff in Smash. So
yeah,
Smash DLC, so it could easily just be referring to that and not even Rayman.
I can't if Rayman was in, and this doesn't mean he's not in at all, but this is just kind of my train of thought. If Rayman was in, this had been decided a long time ago. And I don't understand why they wouldn't have released the Rabbids hats with Rayman. Maybe not Ezio, maybe not Assassin's Creed, fine. But Rabbids is so tied into Rayman that you'd think it would be one of the costumes they reveal with Rayman. Once again, that doesn't mean anything, like, for sure. But it's a little suspect to me, that's all.
Well, I mean, when did the Rabbids hat come out again? I don't even
with
know.
Byleth in January. Yeah.
So, like,
Yeah.
that would have been the case where it's like publicly we wouldn't have. I mean, I at that point they probably would have decided on
By DLC 6, they would have had all of DLC.
Yeah,
Pass
they would
2
have had the Fighter Pass you already picked. So I mean, I guess they probably had already decided on using it's possible they could have decided on what Mii Fighter costumes they put in before even the Fighter Pass 2 was selected, since that would have already been coming first. But granted, we don't actually. Those might be easy to make. So,
that's possible, but my counter to that is that they clearly had planned out that they were going to be spreading out all the returning Mii Fighter costumes across 2 passes.
All right.
And if they plan that out so far in advance, there's no reason to think they couldn't have just been like, we don't need the Assassin's Creed and Rabbids ones to come now. We could just throw Lloyd out now or something like that.
We could just put Gino out now.
We could just do that one now with Byleth. That'll be fine.
While Luigi Smasher in the chat said, I think it was something like the CEO saying they were planning more collaborations with Nintendo, and yeah, that's something they've been doing outside of Smash with like Starlink and Mario and Rabbids. Yeah, so it's. I mean, people said the same thing when Bethesda was like, "Oh yeah, we're doing stuff with Nintendo," and people are like, "Oh, does that mean Doom Guy and Smash?" And it's like, no, it just means like a Doom Eternal port that's taking a really long time to come out.
I'll say
Vault Boy Mii costume.
Ubisoft has, out of all the Western devs, maybe the best relationship with Nintendo.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And I love how, and somebody in the comments can be like, they're not American. Why do you say West? Because I'm talking about socially what we've always referred to as the West, which is Europe. But here's another thing, guys. I'm not going to get into this, but continents are bullshit and don't actually exist. Okay.
Anything outside of Asia,
I'm going to get into this. This is one of those really.
No, we have questions to get to. We can't keep doing this.
I'll be really quick, I promise.
I actually do want to hear this reasoning.
Okay, this is one of those really stupid hills that Spazzy's willing to die on.
20 minutes and we still haven't gotten to the main bulk of questions.
Listen,
let him go. Let him go.
The people demand. They need to know the truth. Okay.
You get a one stream.
So this came from the fact that my fiance is from Venezuela, and she's all like, "No, America is one continent. North and South America are subcontinents." I'm like, no, that's ridiculous. They're 2 continents. And then so I looked into this. I went down the rabbit hole, the conspiracy continent hole, if you will. And depending on where you live in the world, they teach you that there are anywhere between 5 to 10 continents. And the reason is because there's no actual physical reason for the continents to exist. Because, you could talk about like Europe and Asia. There is no reason. That's one landmass that's on one continental shelf. People will say, "Oh, the Ural Mountains." Well, the Ural Mountains are both not as high, and the range isn't as large itself as the Rockies. But we're not East and West America. Like, that was done because Europeans created the concept of these continents, and they're all like, "Well, from a social standpoint, from a political standpoint,
This is so fucking stupid.
But dude, no. Why are Asia and Europe two separate continents?
I just want to answer this question about the Nintendo Switch.
Why? Just tell me why. There's no reason.
Because I really like the Nintendo Switch, and I want to answer questions.
But then India, which some people call a subcontinent, is on its own, has physical separation, and is on its own continental shelf. North South America, and part of Central America is part of the Caribbean plate too. So those are 3 continental shelves. But some people are taught that because they're all connected, that's one continent.
I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but isn't America connected to Asia through Alaska up in the top?
No, there was the Bering Strait. There used to be, 10,000 years ago.
Yeah.
So if we just build like a lot of bridges across Alaska, then you can like connect the two of them, like stapling them together, and then we can just have one big continent. We can call it Pangea, except for Australia.
Well, Danny Penjax here is trying to promote a one world concept, one world nation, one world economy.
Well, except for Australia, which gets to be its own thing, and none of us can stop.
Well, with what the fuck?
Is that your dog?
Yeah.
Well, with time, Russia and Alaska will reunite due to the Pacific Ocean closing in because the Atlantic Ocean is enlarging.
Right. I think what I wanted to say is that it's a man-made definition for what a continent is. I feel like some people really believe that there's like a physical thing. Like, no, that is clearly a continent. No, people decided what a continent is. It's like people deciding what a state is in the United States. This is Florida. Why is it Florida? Because we decided this is fucking Florida. Except continents have very little reason to exist because, like, what's the point of saying North America? Like, in what political? They're not a political entity. Yeah, I don't know. I'm done.
All right, all right. Next question.
This is not a cry for help, which is exactly how I feel. Asks, do you feel like the era of the Switch's dominance is ending with the releases of the PS5 and Series X? I would say we will see. I don't even think I don't. Here's the thing about the Switch in terms of sales. Nintendo's good. You know, like they've already sold like 65 million units or something, or at least very, very close to that. Like they've already sold as many Switches as most successful consoles have sold in their life.
It's outsold the NES already.
Yeah, and the 360 and the 360 and the PS3 are only like 10 million ahead of that. So yeah, like I mean, if sales were to like just fall off, Nintendo would still be fine. But I would argue that it's not so much that the Switch's dominance is ending, because it's still like outpacing like the PS4 in terms of sales. I think it's just more that it's more of a even playing field now. But that can change with potentially a new revision of the standard console and maybe another version that's modeled towards a specific niche audience. But basically, I think I at this point, I mean, like, most of the money that Nintendo's going to make off the Switch is going to be off software sales regardless. But I would say, like, I wouldn't totally write it off. I think it will.
Nintendo has an advantage, I think. Well, number one, I think that Sony's not going to be as dominant this gen because I think Xbox has made smart choices. And although I think the PS5 will... probably, it's too early to tell, but just on based off of initial response, outsell the Series X by an okay margin. It's not going to be like the PS4 and Xbox One. I think the Xbox will, especially in North America, regain some of its market share, and I think that'll be more competitive. So I think overall you'll see a more competitive gen. But I think Nintendo has a huge advantage in that the Switch is also a handheld, and as this gen gets older, Nintendo can push that more and more and, treat this the same way as it treats something like the 3DS. Like, in a couple years, the Switch will be it'll probably get down to $150.
Yeah.
It'll be a great entry, and it has already such a great install base. It has Nintendo's first party, which is, chef's kiss, the best first party out there. I'm sorry, Sony does some good work, but Nintendo games move systems in a way that no other first party does. That's just facts. They come out with something like Animal Crossing, people make fun of it, and it sells millions and millions and millions of units.
Someone asked a relatively similar question, but regarding Nintendo's next year, as opposed to just like their sales figures going forward. Yeah. And I'll talk about what I think Nintendo is going to do next year when we get to that. But to kind of like put a cap on that question, no, I think the Switch is in a very comfortable position where I think even if like from competitive number standpoints, it may it may even out. You might start seeing Switches sell the same amount of units as a PS5 or a Series X, like here on out. In perspective, in the long run, it'll probably do a lot better in terms of just making money off of profit.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, is that, like I said, as this moves on, Nintendo has a lot of room to get competitive, and you're going to see, like I said, probably in the next year, it'll go down to maybe $200 for the Switch, which will keep it as the lowest current gen entry point, and it already has such a big catalog of games that people know, and it also gets a lot of support. It's getting that Vita support too, for Japanese devs that don't want to make AAA games necessarily and are looking for something with a huge install base. Because the thing is, it's going to stay huge in Japan. And I think if they're going to shift, like I said, unless they do something like a Pro, and who knows, I'm sure Colin will get to that soon when we get to that question. But I think they're going to shift to, while it's still a home console, shift more to a focus on how they would market and sell a handheld. Like the Switch, once it drops down, will definitely be everybody's second system, and I think I don't think it's ever going to catch up to DS numbers. I don't know if it's going to catch up to Game Boy numbers, which is, but I think I think it's going to pass the Wii. I think it'll be the best-selling home quote unquote console it's going to hit over 100 million easy. But after that, like the DS is kind of out of touch. And I mean, I don't know, who knows? Yeah. But I think Nintendo's in a good position right now because they already have a huge install base and it's already a successful system.
Well, it is 11 a.m. on the dot. I have turned off accepting more questions on the forum, so we are just going to pile through these now. These are from the Google Forms that we set up. We got quite a handful of questions, not like a ton, but we weren't really looking for like hundreds. So thank God. And but we still got a good chunk of them, and there weren't we didn't really have any rules, just like don't be mean, I guess. And if a question is for like a specific staff member who is not here, which I mean, I'll looking over the responses right now, only 3 people had like questions that were actually like specifically like targeted towards someone, and I got the most with 2. So, so that goes to show you, how that panned out. But we'll start right away. So let's jump into it. The first question is from a no-named person. We had it so that if you wanted to put your name, you could, or you could just not do that. And it's for me. And the question is, what headphones would you use on a regular Thursday? Well, my current headphones don't work. They don't.
Not them ones.
they I went to go get them modified. I wanted to get like a new cable put into them, and it did not work. Oh, if you want to ask, by the way, you can ask in the chat. Nan is compiling YouTube chat questions as well. If you have anything that you want to pile on. Don't know if we'll get to all of them. It depends on like time restraints, but whatever. But yeah, I went to go get a cable mod for my current headphones, and one thing led to another, and just like they're just currently not in working order, so I have to go repair get like parts for them. Currently, as my replacements, I'm using the COS KPH30Is. They're very good. They're like $30. They're like kind of open back, and they're really comfy and they're really light. And I would recommend them if you just want a really cheap pair of headphones that goes good with like the Switch or something. Next question. This is for the staff as a whole. And this is from Jill, also known as Mello, asks, ham or bologna? And they spelt bologna wrong, but I also don't blame them. Because they spelt it the same way someone spells salami, because you spell salami like S-A-L-A-M-I. They spelt it B-O-L-O-N-I when it's Bologna, for whatever fucking reason.
I mean, English is a big meme.
It is a big meme. Well, I mean, you would know, Nan.
We invented it.
Yeah. I don't think Bologna has a. I don't think it has a background in Latin. So what the fuck happened there?
It's just
that and Colonel. Anyway, but
ring Bologna.
Ham or bologna? I prefer ham. I actually don't like bologna at all. I think bologna kind of sucks.
So bologna's a bit too strong. I think. Personally, I like the taste of strong sausage, but
when I was younger, I always thought it tasted like kind of sour. It was weird.
Well, the thing is, bologna is processed garbage. So we'll start with that. Second of all, I do come from a Latin background. Also, I am Jewish, though, so this is really puts me at odds with my heritage. But like, you get like some jamon that's like real, like sliced off, real ham.
Mm-hmm.
It's different. It's a high quality meat.
It's different. Yeah.
It's not like, it's hard to say. Like, if you're talking about like, Oscar Mayer's, ham in a sliced thing, then there's still, I feel like, a difference between that and bologna. And I would still,
I think they're just talking about cold,
I think
they're just talking about cold cuts and not like, like.
Yeah, I would assume so. I mean, if I'm just thinking of sliced stuff, sliced ham, sliced bologna, I think probably would go for ham. But if we were talking about mortadella, which is what bologna comes from anyway, mortadella is better than regular ham, in my opinion. Although chorizo is above all of them on the sliced.
Yeah, but
on the sliced pork, the sliced pork tier list.
I like a nice slice of prosciutto put on there. I think that's always good.
I'm more of a turkey guy. If I want cold cuts, I just go turkey.
I tend to eat turkey. I tend to eat turkey as well. I never really get ham or bologna.
I always loved a nice honey cut ham. I think that's
yes,
it's a good way to go.
Very good. Next question. Marco asks, what was the inspiration behind the creation, that's a good rhyme, of Source Gaming? Was there a specific goal you had in mind when creating the channel/website, and do you feel that you have achieved it? This was asked for the staff, but I feel like Spazzy and Dan are going to be the only two that are actually going to be able to answer this.
Yeah, because this is obviously something Push set up. And I guess I've heard the story plenty of times. So I will do my best to retell it. But if Push listens to this in post and I've gotten stuff completely wrong, feel free to comment and show me how disappointed you are in my memory. So the inspiration behind Source Gaming was to quell all the misinformation out there. The story behind why Push was inspired to make the website in the first place was actually from an argument on Smashboards where a guy was claiming that Wolf was planned for, I think it was Melee. It was either Melee or Smash 4.
It's Melee, you fucking lie
no.
me.
We said my way, the original way. So for Melee or for Smash 4, I can't remember exactly which one it was. I think it was Melee. He was arguing that Wolf was 100% planned. Sakurai had said it and all this, and he was going to be an echo of Fox, and was then just, they went with Falco instead. So Push never heard this before and asked for the source, and the guy didn't have one. And after a grilling for a bit, the guy admitted that he just made the whole thing up just because he wanted people to believe that.
To this day, people source that for all sorts of stuff, for being like Pitt was going to be in 64, but they couldn't get the wings to work. Mm-hmm. Also, from that post, Wolf almost making it into Melee instead of Falco was from that post.
So it's Melee. Yeah, that was what I was referring to. Yeah.
Leaf
instead of Roy for the possible
that was also from that. There's all this misinformation from one post that people, because he said it was from like Famitsu or something.
Yeah,
and Push wanted to know what issue, and the guy said there is no issue. I made it up. Also, my dog is barking a lot.
Yeah. So after hearing this guy just completely made stuff up and everyone just rolled with it because no one actually spoke or read Japanese and just assumed it must be true. Push sort of made it a goal to try and quell the misinformation out there. So go around, look for where people were chatting bullshit, try and get a source for anything, and compile everything together. That's why we have stuff like the definitive list of unused fighters that only contains stuff that's got actually been sourced. We translated a lot of the original Smash stuff because people didn't know that there had been like a Smash 2 poll, like a Smash ballot all the way back after Smash 64 until we sort of translated it. And it was just that effort to try and get the right information out there that inspired it. And from that point on, it's always been now, well, okay, the internet is going to be very difficult to convince to just not believe people with what they say without a hard fact. But if we can supply the facts for a lot of stuff, then that will make it easier for people to start doubting everything they read. It's a simple case of people wouldn't lie on the internet. Well, they will. They will lie on the internet. And it's up to you to question them whenever they try and lie to you about stuff.
Yeah. Personally, the first 3 people in Source Gaming, it was Push, and this was actually Push had tried to start several other small blogs or whatever, and he said, "This never works. Let me try to get a team together, and maybe we can do it." So he brought me on, and I was the first person to write articles and to manage that part of it. And Maskman was brought on to translate. So we were the first 3, and then we started bringing other people on slowly to do stuff. The second article I ever wrote was on why Simon Belmont should be in Smash, and that makes me happy because that happened. But it was because a lot of we saw from the Smash community. There's always been the competitive scene, and we weren't going to get into that. There were a lot of people talking about that. Even Smash boards leaned more towards that. We wanted to provide something that was informative, non-biased for people that liked Smash, more from a speculation and character standpoint. Like, we just like the game, and we like the things in the game. And there were so many bad like YouTube video, because this is before, like, now there's so many people out there that do reactions and this or that, but before then it was like Game Explain was doing a good job, I guess, because this was back before Smash Wii U came out, and then you had like Games Radar making fools of themselves, and other channels just doing whatever.
I remember those early videos on Games Radar. Jesus.
Yeah, Games Radar is awful. But I mean, I think part of it came from us like being, hey, we can definitely do better than this for whatever is going on. That was part of it. But the other thing was, we just wanted to, I mean, when Push started it, you're spot on. It was, there's so much misinformation out there, not just in Smash. And I know we focus on Smash, but I'd like to think that our starting this and doing all of these translations, and then other companies piggybacking off that, some doing their own translations. I feel like the niche for us to translate has gotten a lot smaller because so many other people have started to do it. And I'd like to think that Source Gaming getting into these older things and doing these translations kind of helped that move along and helped more people do that, and going once again back to the source, because people would say something on a message board, and you would just believe it. You know,
it was us translating stuff and then bitching at everyone to source us correctly that sort of made everyone go, right, we're going to do it ourselves then. And now we get accurate sources everywhere. Well,
that was our plan all along.
Translation. It worked. But no, there have been some stuff, and we've really pushed this, especially bullied for this. A lot of you know he writes for Did You Know Gaming now, but a long time ago, Did You Know Gaming didn't source anything when they gave their website on the images occasionally had sources on them, but they said a lot of stuff, and I think they released one video, might have been about Smash, that had just a bunch of unsourced stuff in it. And Push basically went to town on that video and broke it apart to explain why it was all basically wrong.
We should have called ourselves Accountability Gaming.
And we're not obviously a lot of people sort of jumped on that, and a lot of people have been pointing at Did You Know Gaming back in the day for not sourcing their stuff correctly. And they've gotten significantly better at it now. They're very good at sourcing all of their stuff. But I like to think that was a big part because of our push towards getting them to source things correctly. And basically, everyone has started sourcing everything correctly, except for Nintendo Everything, because they're bad. But that's their own problem, and they block us because of that. They block us because they know that we know that they're bad.
Anyway, moving on to the next question. This is from Huff, and it's for me. If I were to purchase you a surprise game, a satirical horror game, and gift it to you on Steam, would you stream it? If you give me money, I'll stream anything, you know.
Think of the source gaming Twitch.
Listen,
it might depend on what the game is.
I'm not here.
Maybe.
Listen, I'm not here to e-beg, but I am in a position currently where any amount of income would be greatly appreciated, and I will sit at my computer and play stupid garbage Nintendo 64 games for however long, if the pay is good. So yeah, that is sure, bud, son.
I would love to play some old game, like replay some old games. If somebody was like, will you play Shadows of the Empire on PC? I'll be like, yeah, man, whatever. You want me to just stream something? You're gonna watch and give money? Sure, I don't care, man.
Our next question.
You want me to play Police Quest? Sure, why not?
Our next question is from a talking sock, so we'll just skip on that because he asked. No, we're kidding. We'll answer your questions. We don't really give a shit. He asks, what is each of your favorite neglected Nintendo IPs? Mine is Custom Robo. By the way, just to let you know, I don't know if you knew this, a talking sock, if you're still in the chat, you should check out the game Synaptic Drive on the Switch. It's by the creator. It's by series creator of Custom Robo, and it's borderline an HD remaster of Custom Robo without actually being an HD remaster of Custom Robo.
Mm-hmm.
What do you call it? Septic Drive?
It's septic. It's
Synaptic.
It's like Synaptic Drive or something. It's got kind of middling reviews, but most of it is just like people being like, yeah, it's Custom Robo with like nothing new. But I think they're like updating it and stuff like that. It's kind of cool. But yeah, so what is each of our favorite neglected Nintendo IPs?
I mean, mine is really obvious. Mine is Mysterious Murasame Castle. That's the one that I'm always volleying for. No matter where, no matter with who. That's the one it's getting its 35th anniversary next year. And the best it will probably get is it will finally be put on the NES Online app. Which is probably more than Kid Icarus will get next year, to be fair.
Oh, that was
mine. But yeah, Mysterious Murasame Castle is always going to be my favorite neglected IP because I feel like there's so much potential there, and it could have been such a bigger series had Nintendo of America actually decided to release it in the West instead of just holding it off for it being too Japanese.
But that's weird because there were a lot of games that were very Eastern centric in the 80s. Like, you know what I'm saying? I guess, I don't know. I guess maybe it was too samurai and not enough kung fu. But I feel like you saw a lot of like weird martial arts stuff.
Yeah, from Nintendo only, I think Kung Fu is literally the only Eastern stylish.
It had to
one.
have
Obviously
that weird
Eastern stylish.
It couldn't be like Eastern based. It had to include like an Eastern based character in like New York.
Yeah, samurais in New York would have
Yeah.
probably got over the list.
Something you'd see out of like any canon film or something.
They should have redone the whole game to be that. It's now set in New York. You
You're
climb
in the
skyscrapers.
Yeah.
No, dude,
He's still a samurai.
There's a universe where there's a kid named Jimmy that gets sucked into a portal and then he becomes a samurai, and they just add like a little text-based thing at the beginning. You're like, oh man, now Jimmy's stuck in it's Jimmy's Adventures in Samurai World is the name of the game.
That would actually be really badass. Someone get on doing a ROM hack of Mysterious Murasame Castle to set it in New York.
There's a universe where there's a universe where something like that happened. Like
no ponytail, he has a backwards cap now. And the ninjas throw baseballs. Let's go. But that is my one. That's my favorite neglected IP. Spazzy, when you go next?
I don't know. Does Nintendo have a controlling stake in the Cruisin' franchise? Because
they own the Cruisin' franchise. They released a game in the Cruisin' franchise like 3 years ago.
Yeah.
Oh,
yeah.
really?
I've played it. It's an arcade only one. It's all right. The London stage is wild. The Millennium Eye just gets completely ripped off and starts rolling down the streets of London as you drive past it.
Okay, well, I'm going to talk about Kid Icarus because Kid Icarus is the one I want to talk about. But just real quick, Nintendo has a ton of racing IPs, and they only want to do Mario. Like both Cruisin' and F-Zero in different ways are fun arcadey style things that I would love to see again. But just more Mario Kart.
On the topic of Cruisin', I think the only thing that's stopping that from coming out to the Switch is the developers of Cruisin', because the only reason it came back is because Midway went under, the rights just automatically reverted to Nintendo. They were the only other stake owner in it. So Nintendo just had it and sat on it, and then the old people from Midway who worked on the Cruisin' games went to Nintendo and were like, we want to make a Cruisin' game for arcades. And Nintendo were like, yeah, sure, go for it. And then they did. So all I think it really takes is for those same developers to go, we now want to port our Cruisin' game to Switch. And I'm sure Nintendo's going to be like, yeah, sure, that's fine.
That's really interesting. That I didn't think about that. Midway did go under, and so Nintendo was the rights would obviously just go to Nintendo unless somebody specifically bought that portion of the rights, which doesn't seem
which
like
nobody did. Like it was only Midway and Nintendo had the rights. So as soon as Midway went under, it all just became Nintendo's. Huh. It's like if Nintendo ever went under. This is always a really fun analogy for me. So Skip has basically gone under. And if Nintendo ever somehow went under, the rights for Chibi Robo would just return to Bandai Namco because they own like 2% of it.
Huh.
They would just automatically get the rights because they have a tiny toe in the door of the Chibi Robo IP, which is quite funny.
That is interesting. Man, there was a Cruisin' game on Wii. It's kind of weird to say neglected franchise. Let me just not waste any more time. Because I feel like something like Kid Icarus, which is my neglected franchise. Like, well, it had a 3DS game, and that wasn't that long ago, but it was still when did that come out? Like, at least 7 years ago? I don't remember. I don't remember at this point.
I mean, it came out in 2012, I believe, right? No, 2011, Kid Icarus.
So even longer. So yeah, I don't feel like that's as neglected, but it is. It's 9 years. I'm just old, so time passes differently for me. And Kid Icarus is another one that I think is weird because it was a sister game to Metroid, and I think it would have been huge if it had a Super Kid Icarus because it literally had the same trajectory where Nintendo game, sequel that built upon the foundation and added a lot of things but was held back by the hardware on the Game Boy, and then Metroid got a Super Nintendo game and Kid Icarus got nothing. And you saw in Gods of Monsters that the game series was going a little bit more Metroidvania, like there was more exploration and interconnectivity. And I think having another Metroid-style game that was a little bit more fantasy-based on the Super Nintendo would have been a really, really big thing and would have elevated the IP, which was a popular IP on the Nintendo. And then after all of that, it came back with Kid Icarus Uprising, which didn't sell badly. It was a million seller. It didn't sell, it didn't light the world on fire. But if you shipped at least 1 million units, you're doing all right. And it added so much personality and flair to that world, and it just sucks so much to me that it's just being dropped. And you don't have to do a sequel to Uprising. You could do another 2D throwback or try to fit it into, like, the IP is very malleable. You could do an arena fighter with it. You could do whatever you want with Kid Icarus because it's just about how fun those characters are.
Mm-hmm.
You know,
Yeah.
like you could do a lot with it. I would love a remaster of Uprising at least on the Switch, and a follow-up would be great. But just something, man, for an IP that has that much personality to only have 3 games in 30 years, 35 years is kind of ridiculous.
Take advantage of the Hades hype and make a roguelike Kid Icarus game.
Oh, God.
I mean, the more I think about it, I mean, it could technically work. Get this as the next Cadence of Hyrule indie collab. Work with the Hades developers to get Kid Icarus crossover.
Just put Pit in as a character on the Switch version.
Yeah, it'd be great.
I was thinking about this one last night. Hey, listen, I'm one of those few people who like Super Mario Party. But listen, Wii Party U is like the best party game Nintendo has made since like the early GameCube Mario parties, and I kind of want more stuff like that. I don't know if I'd call it a franchise, but I mean because there is like Wii Party, and then there's like Wii Party Plus,
Wii Party U,
yeah, and then there's Wii Party U, but like I honestly kind of want to see Nintendo do more kind of like half tech demo, half, you know what I mean? Like stuff like Nintendo Land and 1-2 Switch. Like Wii Party U was like the one that actually felt like a game, like a cohesive experience, which is really funny considering that it was called fucking Wii Party U. But you know what I'm did
Wii Party U Wii Party U is really good.
Wii Party U is
considering
sublime.
the Mario parties at the time. It's,
and
a definite improvement.
I would definitely love more of that. I really want some more games that kind of play with the hardware a bit more.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that would be neat. I'd be up for that.
Yeah, and Phantom.
I don't really play Nintendo games like that. Like I play Super Mario Brothers 2, USA, Pokemon.
Yeah, but is there a neglected Nintendo IP?
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
Okay.
The games that I play from Nintendo is like Pokemon and stuff. Like
just say Earthbound and we can move on.
Or yes, you play all the mainstream games.
Yeah.
I wouldn't even say I play all of them because I don't even play that much Zelda or Fire Emblem. But I mean,
all the basic bitch Nintendo games.
I guess the most I would say is that I've always thought about like, hey, what if they made a new Excite-Bike game? That's it. That's the most I've actually thought about.
Yeah, Excite-Bike's a weird one, right? Because like a lot of people consider it as this weird retro franchise, but the last game it had was on the Wii U in like 2011. And not the Wii U, sorry, the Wii in 2011, I should say.
Okay.
Didn't get one on the Wii U. It did get one on the 3DS actually. 3D Excite-Bike is technically a remake of the original Excite-Bike, so I guess you could say that's its latest game.
I guess.
But like, yeah, Excite's weird because the only systems it's currently skipped out on, not including Virtual Console, are the GameCube and the Wii U. Other than that, it's been on basically every single other system, and it hasn't, except for the Switch yet. It hasn't been on the Switch yet.
I just want to reply to Cody real quick. I wouldn't put Labo or Mario Kart Live into that. I definitely wouldn't call Mario Kart Live into that because Mario Kart Live is like it barely uses the Switch at all. Like it just uses the Switch as a controller, really. But Labo is like its own thing. I really, as I meant, like I really want as like just like a cohesive game. That's just like a big tech demo-y, like.
I really liked, I was making fun of PS5 tech demo earlier, but I one of the things that I'd love to play through is Astrobot because I think those devs are really, really talented. And going back to that, going back to that, I think Nintendo Land was pretty fun.
Yeah, I like Nintendo Land. Nintendo
Yeah.
Land's really good, and not just because it was the only thing Takamaru got in years. It's the Luigi's Mansion and Animal Crossing mini games in that are really fun. And I wish I had the chance to play the Metroid and Zelda ones more.
Metroid is good. And I got really into the stupid Donkey Kong tilting.
I like that. Yeah, the Donkey Kong tilting one's a fun challenge. It's better than like the Game and Watch one, which is whatever. Balloon Fight and F-Zero are also pretty good, but they're also
Balloon Fight was basically a brand new
Balloon
Type
Fight
C.
game.
It was really good.
I actually think Wii Party U did a better job of showing off what the gamepad could do than even Nintendo Land did. But Nintendo Land was, as a concept, is fun. Yeah, but because Wii Party U actually had like a lot of the stuff that was in like the tech demos for the Wii U.
Yeah, I remember that. They either were either from Nintendo Land already or got put into Wii Party U or Game and Wario.
Yeah.
Demo stuff. And Game and Wario was a mess.
What franchise I'm really surprised Nintendo hasn't brought back, and specifically on mobile, is Nintendogs. I feel like there's a lot of money in making a new Nintendogs for mobile and having some sort of connectivity with the Switch.
Pay real money to get your new dog.
Yeah, exactly. Oh, well, man, look at all these accessories I can buy for my dog. Oh, man, little gadget dog boxes. Yeah. Come on.
This is true.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Cody says Excitebike level in Mario Kart 8 was basically the best way to rep it in modern games. I don't know, because I feel like Excite Trucks was awesome, and that was just, actual tracks and trucks. It doesn't have to be a retro throwback. Even Excitebike 64 wasn't a retro throwback. It was just like a very customizable motorbike game.
Yeah, I think Excitebike 64 didn't do real, but Excite Truck did really well. It's just I don't understand why Excitebots only got released in like America.
Yeah, and Excitebot, it was so weird because Excite Trucks was super arcadey and kind of dumb. But that was another racing franchise, by the way. I brought up Cruisin' and F-Zero. But at the same time, it was fun because it was stupid arcadey, but everything looked very realistic.
Mm-hmm.
And that was also a game where I feel like not a lot of systems do this anymore. Someone told me that there's some PS4 games you could do this on, but the Wii, you could keep your own music on SD cards, so you could play whatever music you wanted while you played that game, and I feel like that added a lot to that game. I miss that functionality. Hey, download your own music or upload your own music and then, play whatever you want with that music, I think was pretty cool.
The next question is by Hero, and they ask, where do you see the Pokemon franchise going in the future? I have a very boring answer, which is that I think they're going to, as much as people don't want them to do this, I think they're just going to stick to the same, mainline every other or every 2 years and then spin off and remake. They're just going to continue that cycle perpetually.
Continue what they're doing, yeah.
But I think what will happen is there will be a point where a Breath of the Wild or Mario Odyssey situation happens where Masuda is like, you know what, I'm going to give the technical advisor of the last game the helm. And we'll see a weird kind of soft reboot of the franchise.
Yeah, they'll try that again. Yeah, because they did it. That was what Pokemon. That's what Pokemon Black and White was meant to be, and it worked really well. But they got so much feedback from fans being like, "No, we liked everything that was in Gen 1 through 4," which is why Black and White 2 decided to be a combination of the stuff introduced in Black and White and then all the previous games. And it since hasn't gone on there. But I agree with you. I think things are just going to continue as they are for Pokemon, but they're just going to get bigger with more collaborations with actual products. And we'll get Detective Pikachu 2. And I wouldn't be surprised if the Nintendo Universal Land thing does well. They'll do we'll see a Poke Park at some point in some collaboration, probably Universal.
At the very least, if you're one of those people who thinks that every new Pokemon game is bad, at the very least, I think Game Freak will warm up to HD console development, and we'll start seeing. I guess from the outside looking in, more higher quality production kind of stuff. Yeah,
I do think next year is going to be a very strong year for Pokemon. They're going to have a lot of stuff, not just because we already know Pokemon Snap, Pokemon Unite, are coming, but we'll also probably will get Gen 4 remakes next year. And I imagine we're just going to get a ton of other stuff. Like, it's Pokemon's anniversary,
Yeah.
and so they're just going to go all out on it. Like, they did this with the 3DS before with Pokemon Picross, Pokemon Rumble. There's like 3 Pokemon mobile games. Go had just come out. Pokemon Sun and Moon came out. Like, they did a lot in the last anniversary. I think we're going to get that again next year. Predominantly spin-off focus, with the main game being Gen 4 remakes, because I don't think we're going to get into Gen 9 next. But I think next year will be strong, but they're just going to keep going and going. I do think eventually we'll get a Pokemon game that's going to be all wild area, and that might be the one where you were saying, Corland, where they just sort of soft reboot.
Yeah.
Let's just have an open world Pokemon game and see how that goes. Because I think all the blocks are in place in Sword and Shield, especially with the DLC, which is basically all just wild area. So having an entire game like that, but giving players the ability to explore and pick their own towns that they go to, and just have the difficulty scale like it does in the DLC, is the best way to go about it. And I think that's what the future of mainline Pokemon at least is going to be.
Phantom, do you have anything to add?
I'm not completely sure, because the thing is that I, of course, don't really. I'm fine with the wild area when it came to the DLC, but the thing is that when it comes to the routes and like of an actual game where it's like you're going through towns and stuff, that's what I kind of worry about more. When it comes to like, hey, how do you want to implement the wild area when it comes to actually traversing the actual region and not just like the standalone parts that are just wild area on its own. That's kind of where I'm a bit confused on how they'll go in terms of the mainline games. I definitely, a Gen 4 remake is at this point definitely going to happen, I feel, even though I may not want it. Gen 9 probably going to be like 2023 or 4.
Yeah, 20. That seems about right. I feel like we'll get Gen 4 remakes and another attempt at Let's Go before we get anything Gen 9.
By the way, I just want to mention that I don't share Nan's opinion of it going open world. No, that's not like a slam against you. I'm just saying that when I meant soft reboot, I just mean they try and go in a different direction, just like mechanically and or like art or something like that.
I don't know anything about Pokemon, but I'd imagine they would just build off of it, and we already have HD assets. We already have a bunch of Pokemon. Don't they normally just do remakes of the older games? They can just introduce more of the Pokedex slowly through that until they have everything in full 3D HD models.
I mean, pretty much, yeah.
Yeah.
That's what I think.
The weird thing about it is that like this time around, like they're making console games now. This is already like the second Pokemon console game. But the thing is that Let's Go was clearly styled in like more the 3DS route, because they're finding their bearings on the Switch hardware, and it's also like a remix that kind of gives it at least a little bit more leeway. But I've like with Gen 4, it's like you're kind of expected not to be doing a Let's Go type of game, because even they said, like, I'm pretty sure my sister said like, hey, if it sells well, we'll possibly do it again, but I think this is kind of like a one-time thing. I think if I remember that correctly, and I'm not completely sure where they can go, because like the way that Diamond and Pearl is set up is, of course, that old-styled game. So like if you take it and make it the wild area type of aspect, it's like, well, you're kind of changing a lot of it in terms of the routes and stuff like that. So it's kind of like, how do you want to make this game in a way where it's like it's part wild area, but still part of what it was, because the wild area is one thing and it's meant to be an open type of thing, whereas Diamond and Pearl was never that, and that's gonna seem kind of difficult, I feel. What is that? Huh?
No, you were just like cutting out for a second.
Oh, no, my bad. Hopefully it stops.
Yeah,
there's ways that they can change the formula, like maybe like try to have like, I guess, more action instead of more like turn-based, like, but even then that's such a very hard shift that like it doesn't really make sense in the long run. But like that's why they have like spin-off stuff, I guess, like if they decide to do another Pokken, if that Detective Pikachu game ever comes out on Switch, if Pokemon Sleep, whatever that comes out, like there's so many things that they can do. Is that like the traditional games already have their field. Like, why change that? But it's like it's so hard to say what they can adapt, what they can evolve and what they can't evolve. Because even though like they can change things every generation so far, and since like Gen 6 has had a gimmick where it's like Mega Evolution, then it kind of stays for the next game, and then hey, no more Mega Evolutions. We're gonna do the Z moves now, which still, and then we had Z moves and Mega Evolutions, but now we have none of that stuff, and now we have Dynamax, and it's like by Gen 9, are you sure you want to keep doing Dynamax, or are you gonna do something different and still have Dynamax? It's like they keep doing that gimmick type of thing where it makes it hard to decide where they can go, because they're just adding a component to the main game that'll only be there for a while. It's not something that actually changes the game overall.
Mm-hmm.
The gameplay in terms of like not traversing the world. But
Yeah.
All right, next question.
Next question is from Rivers, who asks, "How's it going, fellas?"
It's going well. I am conscious that we're taking our sweet time getting through these questions.
Yeah, I'm surprised we have such like actual like thought out full responses to these things.
Don't underestimate our ability to talk forever.
Yeah. Hope you're doing swell too.
I'm doing good. I'm not wanting. I'm wanting this to go on forever because I don't want to have to for the new computer I made put all the wires and the.
Well, today's the first 6-hour Good Morning Source Game. We'll sit here answering questions forever.
I don't know which LED goes to the right LED spot. It's boy.
You're gonna have to face your fears eventually, Swazzy.
I know.
Phantom, how's it going?
I'm broke.
Yeah, there you go.
I want to look for a job. It's like, you know what if I just find an art internship? It's like, wait, not really many art internships it seems. So it's like, gosh, I just want a job.
Somebody show your support and give a super chat shout out just for Phantom for $5 so we can buy lunch.
I will say in relation to how's it going, I will say that I've actually had a bunch of close personal friends of mine catch the big cough, and so if you do plan on going out, please still wear a mask and wash your hands and all that fun stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Just a good public service announcement. Liam O'Keefe asks, "When do you think we are getting the next real Mario Kart?" Last month. I mean, I'm very biased because I think 8DX is perfectly fine. It's like it's so refined and it plays so good that I really
it still sells.
Yeah, I almost just really don't want another Mario Kart. But I am of the opinion that I would at least hope that if they do a Mario Kart 10, that it is like a it's a this is so quiet. Turn up your volume. But if they do a Mario Kart 10, I kind of want them to just like do something new. Like I don't want it to just be like another iterative, like it's
Mario
Kart. Now you can go upside down. Like I kind of want.
I would rather DLC for Mario Kart.
Yeah,
8,
same. I'd rather
personally.
8DX DLC. But if they have to do a new one, I would want them to honestly hold out until the next Switch, so they can so we can see what they can do with like another leap in like graphical tech and like whatever bells and whistles they shove into the Joy-Con 2.0 and stuff like that.
Yeah, I fully agree with Colin. I don't think we're going to see another Mario Kart on the system. I think Mario Kart Live Circuit isn't the actual next Mario Kart, but it fits the new Mario Kart quota.
Yeah.
And they've also got Mario Kart Tour still going on, and they know that releasing a new Mario Kart will definitely eat into sales of that. So I think with all this in mind, and Mario Kart 8 Deluxe still selling, there's no real reason for them to do a new Mario Kart now. Like that team can focus on doing something else, like an ARMS 2, something Nintendo Dogs, or just a new IP in general.
Yeah.
And then they can also potentially decide to have a different racing series instead. Like, I feel like a big reason why they don't do other racing games aside from Mario Kart is Nintendo seem to have this very they're sort of stick in the mud for being like, well, we have a horror IP in Luigi's Mansion, therefore we don't need to do any other horror games, and we have a platforming game in the new Super Mario Brothers series, and thus we personally don't need to bother making any other platforming games, and that's why Good Feel and Retro were doing the Donkey Kong and Yoshi games. And because of that, with Mario Kart, they don't feel a need to do F-Zero or Cruisin' or Diddy Kong Racing or anything like that. But with the fact that the Mario Kart on this system isn't new means that there is a sort of gap for a new kart racing game. It might be a good idea to not do Mario Kart and instead focus on something else. That's my thought. If I was in charge, that's probably what I would do. I don't necessarily know if Nintendo will do it, but I think that would be better than doing just a new Mario Kart for no reason.
So I think Mario Kart 8 Deluxe has sold about 29 million units, which is kind of insane. And it's still always in the top 10 in every region. So it's still selling more. So if you introduce a new Mario Kart, you're going to eat into those sales. I think that if Nintendo does a refresh at some point, maybe like a Pro or something, I don't know. And when the sales start to lag, if they're not, then maybe a Mario would make sense. But that would be so late into the Switch's life cycle that maybe just holding it off and doing a new Mario Kart for the new system would make more financial sense. But I think they would be holding it off, depending on how long they want the Switch to be the primary console. They'd be holding off to the back end of the Switch's life to give it a little shot in the arm if they do a Mario Kart 9. But I kind of think they're going to wait for the next system on this one. But who knows? If they did do DLC, I'd like more of an expansion pass and less piecemeal. Like, pay like $20 or $25 and get a whole bunch of tracks and characters as once instead of just buying like little pieces here and there. I think that would be really cool. But yeah, so my answer is possibly if they want the Switch to sell for a long time and sales start to slump. But it makes more sense, I think, to hold out to the next system.
We are 15 minutes to 12, so I don't know how much longer you guys want to keep going. We can go for like 2.5 hours or something, but I will say we should maybe try to speed up the responses to some of these questions.
Let's jump through a lot of the simpler ones that we can get through.
We can rapid fire a few. So Nitro asks, what video series have you enjoyed making thus far? The most thus far. I think I like the charity streams the most. I've had the most fun just kind of that and I mean this Good Morning Source Gaming, just like sitting around shooting the shit about whatever. So yeah, there you go.
I'm quite enjoying the character series I'm doing right now with Yoshila. The Y characters got selected. It was something I really enjoyed writing about back in the day, and something I'd always intended to turn into a video. But if I was going to do it, I wanted to do it properly and spend some good time doing it. And now I've got the ability to do so, and I've been enjoying working on that, and I'm enjoying the final videos as they come out. That's always fun. Yeah,
really anything except for rate that character, because
because we still get comments on like rate that character videos from like 3 years ago of people like, this is why you're wrong based on current information, and it's like, no shit.
I'm like, just stop, man. Like, and then people are like, why don't you do them anymore? I'm like, because of this, man. Like, it's literally thankless. Nobody's ever like, wow, thanks for doing these. They're always all like, you're so wrong. And I'm like, dude, we're just trying to have fun. I actually really like the movie series I do with Wolfman, where we just talk about video game movies, even though it's not one of our more successful things that we do on the channel. It's always fun because I like anything that's a discussion, that we can actually get ideas out and talk about things. I think, I also do like some of our more informative videos, but discussions are easier to make.
So all right, rapid fire. We gotta
making that.
Yeah. We gotta speak. Phantom, go.
I really like making the reviews, especially, I guess the best example would be a review that I really liked making was the Kill la Kill one, because Kill la Kill was something I was really passionate about. And of course, even though that game sucks, it's like, I put like a lot of time into that review and like having it a specific way. So like the current series that I'm working on now that'll be coming out, I think, hopefully by the end of this month. I that would be my answer for like the series that I love doing, whatever the one that's gonna be coming out eventually. So
Okay, No Name asks, what's the sexiest piece of underwear you have? Mine is none, because I just wear boxers, and what's more sexy
Free flowing.
Yeah, just letting your dick out.
I got a nice pair of silk boxers that I think are pretty sexy.
I have some nice Calvin Klein boxers that I like. Phantom?
I guess I like wearing my hoodie and pajamas indoors.
There's one with an elephant on it, and the trunk looks
Livid Eris or Aries asks, what game series? Arif.
I mean, and I feel like this question is similar to the one we answered before. On the Dead IP.
But whatever, we can do it. What's the question?
Sure.
Okay.
Fine.
What game series that is considered dead would you like to see returned by new developers?
Oh, that's so
Mysterious Murasami Castle, Platinum Games. There we go. It's similar to the previous.
I'd
one.
like Rock Band to be made by not Harmonix. Just anyone who isn't Harmonix.
Ooh, man, let me think about all of the different Konami games that I'd like to see come back. I mean, I would say Castlevania by Way Forward, but they already made Bloodstained, so just
yeah.
Yeah, but yeah, I don't know. I do want to see a new 3D Castlevania. You know, maybe like a FromSoft Castlevania game.
I think I've never even played this game, but I've only seen like gameplay of it, and it's like such an old fighting game. Akatsuki Blitzkampf, or I like to see Virtua Fighter come back. That I just want to see some. Well, Virtua Fighter is coming back actually, so never mind. Just Akatsuki Blitzkampf then, because that's an old game. The main character has been in Under Night and in Cross Tag, so it's like just bring it back in some way, and even where it's just like a port, because that seems like the developers aren't. I don't know if the developers are doing anything, but the website is still up, and like the last update was, hey, our character is in BB Tag now, so that's cool. So just bring back that fighting game series.
Our favorite patron, Bear Rimshot, asks, what's your favorite third-party game to play on the Nintendo Switch? Currently, Rogue Company.
I'm trying to think which one I've played recently.
I mean,
Spazzy, you go. I need to think.
I was talking about Metroidvania games before, and those are still really fun to have on a handheld. I had a lot of fun with Hollow Knight, so I'm gonna go with that.
I was going to say Hollow Knight. I actually think I prefer playing. I actually think I prefer playing visual novel and detective-based games like Ace Attorney and AI: The Somnium Files on my Switch as opposed to on anything else. So I can just get comfy in bed and play them. So I'm going to say that.
Also, old school RPGs, like even though they're not the best versions of them, I played all 3 of the Dragon Quest games on there, and I probably wouldn't have gotten through them on like PlayStation or something. It's just that having them, like taking them, grinding out, eating some food and grinding some levels or whatever is super easy on a handheld. So,
yeah.
I play so many games on my Switch that I can't give like one answer. Like I really like fighting games on like Skullgirls and then I play a lot of. I wish there were more rhythm games on the Switch because I really like Radio Hammer Station and Muse Dash. Muse Dash is the one that I reviewed.
There's a ton of rhythm games on the Switch.
Yeah,
okay. Rhythm games that I like though.
You gotta delve deeper, man. Dude,
Okay.
Groove Coaster, Hatsune Miku, Voes.
Okay. So
those
the
are
reason
all great.
I have, but the thing is that's on my Switch though. I have Groove Coaster on my PC, and I don't want to pay $40 for a new Groove Coaster. I just don't think that. I just don't want to do that.
Okay.
And I also like Groove Coaster on my iPhone. It's like I like that, but I don't know about on my Switch. Then I haven't been playing Ninjala in a while. There was a time where when Indivisible came out, I was playing that like I played through that streak for like the week, and I was like, wow, I really enjoyed that. So there's like a lot of games on Switch that I'll just blast through in like a week and have a lot of fun with that. But other than that, like on the regular, to just go back to fighting games or rhythm games, honestly.
Anyway, next question, also from Bear Rimshot, but this time for Nintendex. Have you played Super Princess Peach? If yes, what are your thoughts on Super Princess Peach?
Yes, it's fine.
All right, good. That works for me. There's a question for Push Dustin. We'll have to send that his way. I should have just sent it to him earlier, and then we could have just read it out loud. Also from Bear Rimshot, what's your favorite video game soundtrack to listen to? Most recently, I've been vibing with the Earthbound soundtrack because that is an album that is all about dad rock influence and references, and I am all for that. So yeah, Earthbound.
Valhalla is a great soundtrack I like listening to. Like, if you haven't listened to the Valhalla OST, you deserve to treat yourself and go do that.
I always go back to the Chrono Trigger soundtrack. Like, that's my go-to when I'm not sure what video I want to listen to video game music, but I don't know what. It's Chrono Trigger.
Phantom.
Sonic Adventure.
All right,
The first
cool.
adventure.
Nice, that's a good one.
Nathan asks, have you played Persona 5 Royal? And if yes, do you like it? I have not played Persona 5 Royal.
I have not played it either. I played the original.
I don't know what this for. I haven't even finished the first one.
I enjoyed the first one, but I haven't played Royale.
Water_404 asks, thoughts on Smash DLC thus far? He's including all Smash DLC from Smash for
Smash
Wii
4
U
and
and 3DS and
Ooh.
to Ultimate.
Yeah, I mean, I personally think it's been great for the most part. Like, obviously, I know people have strong opinions against Corrin and Byleth, especially Corrin when it was known to be the very end of DLC. But I personally don't mind either of them. I think Smash 4 had good choices for DLC in terms of third party because, like, Cloud and Ryu are such iconic characters, and I mean Bayonetta was obviously the ballot winner, but she's also pretty fun. So say what you will, and I think the choices they chose for veterans to come back, Mewtwo, Lucas, and Roy, were also pretty good choices. In terms of Smash Ultimate, though, I think they've just knocked it out of the park with all the DLC that they've gone for. Some are more simpler than others. I find Joker to be very plain. Banjo-Kazooie is a great character, but has a very simple moveset. And Byleth also is kind of a simple moveset. But in terms of how fun they are to play as, they all feel very different from other characters, which is good. And they, for the most part, brought in new mechanics, which I like. So I think the DLC so far has been really, really strong.
What was the exact question? I was talking to the chat.
Thoughts on Smash DLC for both Ultimate and Smash 4?
Okay, go ahead, Colin. I'll answer after.
No, I agree. Basically, I don't really have much else of an opinion in that regard. It's been good.
I like the DLC in Smash 4 a little bit better personally because they brought back Roy, Lucas were characters I played a lot in their respective games, so I enjoyed that. I thought Ryu and Cloud were kind of amazing. It ended kind of weakly for me. Corrin was kind of whatever, and Bayonetta wasn't a character I really liked too much, and her playstyle doesn't jive with me. But it was solid. I think that the DLC, on Smash Ultimate is okay. Like, I think they've done a really good job in realizing the characters. Like, Steve's moveset is amazing. But as far as the characters themselves, I'm like, whatever. Like, there hasn't been one character that I've been like, oh my god, that's amazing. I think Hero and Terry are cool, but they're not characters I was super hyped about. But I think the way that they implemented everybody's play styles has been pretty good, and they've all been fairly fun to play as. That's all.
Okay.
All right.
For Smash 4, I always kind of forget that Roy and Ryu were DLC. Like, it's so long ago now that I kind of forget that, there was DLC other than the last three characters. For Roy, Ryu, and Lucas and Mewtwo, I don't even play Mewtwo, so I don't necessarily care about him. But for Lucas, Roy, and Ryu, it's fine. It was cool to see them come in and like finally have DLC for that game. For Cloud, that's still one of the most iconic moments ever for me still. For Corrin and Bayonetta, those are characters I specifically asked for and got, so I'm happy about that. I play Corrin a lot more in Ultimate than I did in Smash 4, and then Bayonetta got nerfed, so she's not fun to play anymore. Who else was there for Ultimate DLC? Joker was definitely a crazy reveal. Definitely played him until the next DLC characters came out. He's fun on his own. Who else was DLC? It's Banjo. Banjo, I really thought wouldn't happen, and it's like, okay, it happened, and I'm happy that it happened. But it's not necessarily a character that I care about, but I'm not angry about it or anything. It's just like, okay. Hero is really disappointing because I really wanted the Dragon Quest VIII hero, and he came in the game, and his playstyle is not anything that I like.
I love Hero. It's so broken and
so
stupid.
much.
I love him so much.
It's so unfortunate that he's like that. In my eyes, Terry is. I like his stage a lot, but it's not a character that I normally go to because I really like playing the other characters that they added in Ultimate.
Yeah, King of Fighters Arena is great.
Yeah.
My personal meta is just to play as Little Mac on that stage, and then you just win.
There's Byleth. Byleth was another character I thought would get in, and they got it, and they play really fun, so I'm happy about that. And Min Min. I haven't been playing Min Min because Steve is out now, and Steve is super fun, but Min Min was also really fun. So like, there's a lot of fun characters, and like Hero is the most disappointing out of everything. Hero and Banjo isn't, but he's just there. So yeah, that's it.
All right. I don't know how many questions you guys want us to keep doing. I may just pick a bunch of like random ones. How do we?
Yeah, we can do another one of these another time and save some of the questions.
All right.
Are there any questions that feel like they are really relevant right now?
Yeah,
and we won't be able to answer in the future.
Marty McFly asks, "Will you be streaming the Game Awards?" And probably. I just know that apparently, like, with Twitch and copyright, that's all kind of muddied and kind of bullshit. But it is highly likely. You know what might happen if we stream the Game Awards? It might just be us talking, and you'll have to just like watch the Game Awards on your TV with us talking on like a different screen or something.
Like a commentary track.
Yeah, basically. I mean, it'll be more or less synced up regardless, but yeah, like that might be the situation. But yeah, we'll be doing something with the Game Awards.
Can we do what we did last year where was it A Shadow had just when they were playing music,
we switched to a MIDI. Yeah. It's a good idea. It's just there's a lot of like just Smash questions that I feel like we'd be here for a while. Which is Pauline Spring Day Autumn Moon last name asks, which is better, Despacito or Gangnam Style? Choose carefully. There is a correct answer.
Neither of them. They're both bad songs.
Gangnam Style.
I would say I like the energy of Gangnam Style more, but I think Despacito is a better song.
Gangnam Style is
Spazzy, it's down to you. You're the tiebreaker.
Despacito also has a longer, I think, stronger legacy because I think it ushered in the quote-unquote new Latin explosion, and now we're getting a lot of reggaeton and other Latin artists into the mainstream, whereas Gangnam Style didn't really have that same effect. Yeah, there's a lot of K-pop now that is popular, but it didn't really originate from the same venues as Gangnam Style.
I can't believe you actually gave like a fully cohesive.
This, you know what? We'll end on what is probably like the most interesting question we got, especially since I sort of talked about it earlier. And that'll be like our final like 5 minutes or so, which is Gianluca Sabatini. I hope I didn't butcher that name. I totally did though. Says, "Hi, it's me, guy who got his name demolished in a brawl out video by Push a few years back." So I guess we have a history of mispronouncing his name. Hope y'all, hope y'all are having a nice day. we are. And just curious what your expectations are going into Nintendo's 2021 after an insanely successful year made up of mostly ports and remakes. Love everyone's work here and take care. Thank you very much. This is I will probably do a video on this maybe at the end of December, early January. But this is my complete speculation, just speculation, big boy time. I think 2020. I don't want to be that guy that's like, oh yeah, 2020 sucked because 2021 is gonna be fucking banger, bro. Because I know people love to do that. But I think this is my pure speculation. I think it's gonna be a really big tentpole year, and I think Nintendo's gonna try to push a lot of first-party exclusives. And I think that is something that they, regardless, may have been planning to do, since at the end of this year, we have the new consoles coming out, and now next year, as we said earlier, I don't think, it's going to be stiff competition. But they will definitely try, because I mean the thing about game consoles is that, as much as people are like, oh, the console wars are over, if you're a person that doesn't really play video games and you go into a store to buy a video gaming thing, like, you still have to be sold on one of those things. Like, not many people are savvy enough to know the differences between the three and to really like make up their opinion on their, just like right on the spot of like a platform. So what I think is going to happen is I as far as what games will be announced, I don't know. I know there's a ton of anniversary stuff. And basically, like, it's going to be the year where, just like in 2017 or 2019, like, we're seeing like a big release every other year, whether it be a Nintendo franchise sequel or like a new IP or just like a third-party exclusive thing, because a lot of that stuff that was supposed to come out this year was pushed to next year regardless. But I think the two real big things that's gonna push the Switch in 2021 is, I think we will see I don't want to say a Pro, but a V3 model of the Switch. Just a new iteration of the regular Switch console that's like, it's got a nicer screen, it's a bit faster.
Yeah, it's a hardware refresh.
Yeah, it's a hardware refresh. And I think people are just going to call it the Pro regardless, but yeah, that's what they're going to do. And then later in the year, and I talked about this in a previous video, I think we're going to see, I'm calling it the Switch Stick, and that's going to be like Amazon's Fire TV or Chromecast type version of the Switch, and it'll be there, just like how the Lite is a handheld only Switch, this will be their TV only Switch. And it's going to be a very tiny thing. It's going to be digital only. And the idea is that they want it, like, the idea is that it's going to be the $100 to $150 dongle that you just hide behind your TV, and it plays Fortnite, and it plays Minecraft, and it plays Zelda. And it's going to be targeted to either people that just don't really give a shit about video games, but want a thing that plays all the hit video games, or for people that have maybe kids that they just want to hand a controller to and just go, like, fuck it, here you go.
Yeah.
Or it's going to be for people who are buying a PlayStation 5 and a Series X, and they want a Switch, but they don't really care about, like, the Switch ecosystem.
Yeah.
They just want a thing that plays Zelda.
And Smash and Mario.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have a question for you about that with the stick. Why? How much could it possibly cost to add a cartridge port to a little stick?
Not a lot, but the idea here is that they want to keep it as small as possible. But also, I think the idea is that I think if they do this, they want to make it as cheap as possible. And so it's not so much that they're cutting the cartridge slot to save money on making a smaller, cheaper device, but more so that they can rake in a bit more profit from people buying digital games.
Okay, yeah, I could see that. But
Yeah.
I wouldn't count that out, because I mean, I've seen so many stick type devices that have, like, little micro SD or SD slots.
Well, they'll have micro SD, but I mean, I honestly wouldn't even be surprised if this thing didn't come with a Pro controller or something. Like, they would have you buy a controller separately, so you can have whatever controller you want with your Switch stick. Basically, what happened with the PS TV, where they had like a $40 model that was just the thing itself, and then they had a $90 model that was like the thing with a DualShock 3. Only this would be like 120. It would be cheaper than the Lite, like substantially enough that it stands on its own.
Yeah, and in a way, it would be the most portable version because it's literally like it looks like a USB thumbstick. You know, you can just take it with you if you're going on vacation or something, throw it on a TV. And, I do think that might happen.
Because I think Nintendo's plan going forward is they're going to try, and even though they're not in direct competition with the PS5 and Series X, I think what they're going to want to do is severely undercut those consoles by a ton, and having a thing that's like dirt cheap and, you know, plays Fortnite, plays Minecraft, plays like all of these big games that people know, that could be a huge seller to like a very specific niche audience.
Yeah, somebody in chat is just saying I'd be worried about the Joy-Cons connecting. I don't think it'd be sold with Joy-Cons.
That was a launch issue because the launch Joy-Cons didn't have like some foam in it or something, but that hasn't really been an issue since. But I would not be surprised if they try to push this thing more with the Pro controller, just because it's a traditional gaming pad.
Yeah, I know some people that are primarily like Xbox and PlayStation gamers, but if they could for $150 pick this up, and if it came bundled with like Mario Kart, and they could buy, like we said, Smash and Zelda. And Mario,
I mean, I think
they'd do it.
I think by the time if this does happen, there is evidence that this will happen. Go watch my video on it, but I think also around this time they might start doing Nintendo selects of a couple games. Like I think Breath of the Wild 1 will get a $20 Nintendo Select thing, because by that point, like Breath of the Wild 2 is sooner and sooner.
I'm wondering if Smash will ever get a Game of the Year style edition with everything. Probably not, but that would do well in the long run.
Yeah.
It's funny that you brought up, I just wanted to say this real quick, the thing about being in direct competition, and people come into a store not really knowing what they're buying a lot of the times. I had a friend that worked at Target during the launch of all of the Gen 7 systems, so the PS3, Xbox 360, and Wii. And when the Xbox got its first price drop and PlayStation was still crazy expensive, he said, I convinced so many people that came in wanting to buy a PS3. He's like, bro, for an extra $50, you can buy a Wii and an Xbox 360. He's like, I sold so many of those.
Yeah.
Nice.
I agree with you. I think there's going to be something this year. There's enough pointing at it, and there's, I don't buy too much into leaks and rumors, but there's some credible-ish people out there saying that there will be some sort of hardware refresh, and that Nintendo is trying to push a lot of first-party games with it. I think Nintendo was counting on 2020 to be more of a down year, and we're ramping up all of their development for first-party games in 2021. And I think that's being exacerbated by the COVID situation, where there's a couple games from this year that have been pushed over. Plus, they were already planning on 2021 to be their big year. I think they're going to have a huge year.
Yeah, it might have worked out in their favor, honestly.
Yeah.
But
Animal Crossing was enough this year.
But yeah, as far as it stands, like Switch V3 will be for people like me who already own the original Switch model that's like getting to be, almost 4 years old and has a little battle damage, but will also just be like, it's the definitive Switch model for the rest of the generation, potentially, or at least for the rest of the Switch's life, and then the stick will be the budget option, and then I think the Lite will just stay the same. They'll just keep making the Lite. Because why would they, stop?
Originally, I thought about, like, if they were going to do, like, a Switch Pro, for some reason I thought, like, because last time when the CEO was saying, or president, I can't remember his name, Shintaro, is it Furukawa? Was that his name?
Yeah.
I think. Yeah, Shintaro Furukawa was like, before, I think it was like, we're not going to do another version of the Switch. And then the Switch Lite had came out like a little while afterwards. He said that. And then he just recently said it again. So now I'm like, the Switch Pro is probably going to come out like maybe February or March of 2021. And like, if that happens, I'd probably buy it. But depending on what it is. But I kind of feel like now it's probably wait till later in the year, maybe, because not just because of the current situation, but because of stuff like the like with the anniversary titles, kind of like with Mario ending in March, with Fire Emblem ending in March, and then we also have other anniversaries coming out this year. I feel like they'll kind of want to hold off on doing a Switch Pro, maybe just so that the people who already have a Switch and a Switch Lite right now don't have to aren't maybe not have the idea of buying this new console and then also buying all of these other anniversary titles that are coming out.
Well, the thing is that the Switch, I mean, at least from what I gather, from what I understand, like the Switch Pro isn't going to be like a new 3DS situation where it's like literally double the performance of the system. It'll just be like faster.
Okay.
Like it's not going to be so much of a jump that if you own a Switch, you're gonna be like, fuck, I need it. But it's gonna be like if you have an older Switch that maybe you're like, oh, it could be cool if they could refurb this or something. Like that would be the console to get, or it's just it's slightly nicer.
Okay. I mean, I'll take my Switch everywhere, so I don't.
Also, to reply to someone in chat, Breath of the Wild sales have sort of plateaued. Like they don't like that, and Odyssey don't really like jump in terms of sales numbers as much anymore. I think everyone who really wanted to buy those games has bought them, and everyone left is just people who are just buying a Switch now. Those
don't count digital sales though, right? Or is it just physical?
They do if Nintendo announces them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's interesting. I wonder if Animal Crossing, how much of an evergreen title that's going to be, or if it's going to take a dive, or if it's going to be like Super Smash Brothers and Mario Kart 8, where it just keeps selling.
I think it will plateau eventually. I think it came out at the right time.
Yeah,
to do really, really well.
It's currently the second best-selling Switch game at 26 million. It's between Smash and Mario Kart. But I kind of feel like Smash might get over it eventually. Cause I don't know though.
It's with Smash. I don't play Animal Crossing, so I don't know. But like Smash, I know that Smash is, of course, we all know that Smash is still having content. But with Animal Crossing, like, hasn't it been taking a while for?
No, they just had a big Halloween thing, and they're having another thing. I think later this month. They've been doing regular free updates.
How long? What was the last thing before Halloween?
Wasn't it like the wedding thing in September or something like that?
Wedding thing was March. It was long ago. They've been updating it frequently. Wedding thing was like in July.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they have new updates like every 2 months, I'd say.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, they did a full autumn thing before Halloween came on in September. So
yeah, they introduced farming actually,
and
before that they introduced diving. They're introducing stuff. It's just like the part of the problem with like there's definitely an Animal Crossing cycle. There's people that play it for years, but most people get really into it every time it comes out for like 3 months, pay off all their debt, and then they're all like, you know what, like I'm fine.
I feel like if they were to add like a big like I don't know, usually just adding farming and diving, but like if they add like more expansion to it, then it probably will rise in sales again. Where it's like instead of making the idea where somebody will probably be like, hey, why not just make another Animal Crossing on Switch? Like, no, like this is basically here's your new Animal Crossing for Switch as DLC, and like it just like, hey, here's more content for this game, kind of like in the way that Splatoon had like after it was already out.
It's kind of gross to me that New Super Mario Brothers U Deluxe is the 10th best-selling Switch game. Sorry.
Forgot all about that.
Animal Crossing is weird since it still sells like crazy, but social media presence isn't really there. Well, probably because like you're like when you go on like Twitter, you have like your close kind of like circle of like gamers and like game fanatics, and like they're probably not tweeting about Animal Crossing as much as like the general populace of people who are playing Animal Crossing, which is just like people who really like Animal Crossing are probably not within that circle.
Animal Crossing was a crossover social phenomenon that had celebrities and other people, and that's over. But it's still a popular game.
Yeah.
So, anyways, next question, I guess.
Well, I think that's unless we want to take one more. I think that's about it. We can cap.
Well, we have to do one more because I said next question.
All right, fine. Also,
sure.
Nintendo just tweet. Oh, it's about Hyrule Warriors. Who cares? No, that's gonna be a very exciting game. Let me pull up the. Oh, you know what? I got the perfect question to end on. This is from JJE261. Would you or would you not Lola Bunny? Anyway, that was a fantastic episode, everyone. And I hope you all have
The
a wonderful
Looney Tunes
day.
show had the best version of Lola Bunny because she was actually felt like a Looney Tunes character and not like some weird sex pot that like had no personality. And it's let me just say, it's really weird when people try to say like she's a feminist or something. I'm like, she was drawn to be sexy bunny. Like none of the other Looney Tunes have prominent secondary sexual characteristics. Anyways, I'm sorry. Go on.
As always, we will update the bio links down below and all that to all of our Twitters and our Patreon. Hey, you should help us out, and our Discord and all that cool stuff. And if we didn't answer your question, we'll compile the ones we didn't answer and get back to them another time, and then we'll next time we do this, which might be in like, I don't know, 5 or so episodes. We'll do this like every now and then. We'll open up a new forum and you can just slap them in.
Yeah, we'll keep some of the questions on here as well that we didn't get a chance to answer later as well. I think that'd be a good idea.
Exactly. And have a good one, everybody.